See, I am somewhere different today. I'm at the office, which is where we're hoping to do future sew-alongs, and this is a rather messier background to what you might be used to from the Stitch School. I'm hoping you guys can hear me. Okay, bring this a bit nearer. Oh no, I'm not going to do that because then you can't see the table. There will be a little bit of background noise, but we are going to try our best to keep that to a minimum so that you guys aren't distracted. But can you just let me know if the sound is okay, guys, by giving me a thumbs up or just saying yes in the comments. Rosie's just given me a thumbs up. Rosie is here over there in the office today, which is quite strange. We're in the same room doing a sew-along for the first time ever. It means I can at least signal to Rosie from afar if we need to say anything to each other. How are you all? Who have we got joining us? I can see the numbers are filtering coming into the live sew-along today. It's been a while since we've done one of these, hasn't it? It's been Easter. We had a little Easter break. So let's just take some time to say hi to you all. Hi, Vanessa. I saw you pop up. Lorianne as well. Hi. Rosie's here as well, joining us. So anyone who's new here, Rosie's here to answer your questions. So pop them in the comments if you have any questions. It does feel like a long time, doesn't it? It's funny when you just get into a rhythm of something and then stop. It just always feels like it's been ages. Hi, Nicole. I'm wondering, I've got a different tripod here, and I'm wondering if I can no, I wanted to see if I can dip it down, but I don't think I can. No, never mind. Just so you can see more of the table, but never mind. Hopefully you can see some bit, and I'll do lots of holding up of things so you can see what we're doing once we get started. I'm wearing my Florence dress today. I'm now really warm because it's actually very cold here in London early on in the day. And so I've got a thermal long sleeve top underneath it, but now it's absolutely warm. I'm really warm, so now I'm wishing I didn't have a thermal on. Oh, hi Nicole, watching from Germany. Hi there. Got an international audience. I know some of you because I know we've got Michelle in Michigan. Oh, and Marion has got her lunch and her sleeves from the ED Sew-along to Sewing. Oh, so it's nice to see some people will be sewing. Is anyone going to be sewing the Dana with me? It's a tricky one, this one, so you might be deciding to look back at it when you're doing it at a later date. But today what I'm hoping for us to do is just to focus on the tricky elements, which is the kind of folding. Oh, a higher and Long Island, lovely. The folding placket bit at the front. Sorry, I haven't got one with me here today. And then also finishing off the neckline with the binding. So I'm going to kind of do a shortcut and just do little sections of it, because then I can... oh, Helen, you've got the pattern pieces stick together. Because then, yes, I can kind of focus on the trickier bits and rather than waste time doing too much of the simpler sewing with you guys. Great, guys. Well, feel free to keep chatting as I am working through this, and it's always nice. The more you guys chat, the more I think you will get out of it. So if anyone's new watching this on a live, feel free to join in. Everyone is welcome to chat, and the crew and the gang that watch these a lot are always very welcoming to those of you that are new here. So yay. Oh, New York. This is very international today. Very exciting. Okay, so the Dana blouse. What we are doing with this, we're going to focus mainly on the placket at the front, which is a concealed placket. So this is a button placket here that I'm wearing on my dress. And what we've done in the Dana blouse is it's got an extra folded bit, so you don't see the actual buttons. It keeps it very, very clean. Okay, so that's what we're going to focus on. Before we do that, we do need to do our stay stitching, and so I thought we'll do the stay stitching and then we'll get into the folding up and the prepping for the placket. Now, one thing I should also say is make sure that you have already cut off your left side of your bodice. So the pattern, let me take this bit off. I cut my pattern off as I was doing it actually. So the pattern did look like this, with a kind of stripy section that needs to be cut off the left-hand side of the bodice. Now that's because you obviously need to have a big folded bit covering the buttons, but the side that has the buttons on them, that doesn't need all those folds, otherwise it'd be like this big, thick blanket. So you need to cut that extra strip off the left-hand side. So it does mean one of those, I found that I cut them as a pair and then take them apart. Make sure that you've definitely got the left-hand one, and there is nothing wrong with actually taking the bodice piece and lying it on you, just so you're like, that is the left-hand side, that is the right-hand side, and then once you've got that left-hand one, then you can lay that back on the pattern and cut off that extra bit that you don't need. So that's the first thing you're going to need to do. You then need to interface it, and the left-hand side just has a very narrow, sorry, that was just a phone call coming through then, and the right-hand side has a really big wide strip that kind of, again, it's got another piece of interfacing, but it's a much bigger, wider piece, and that's on the right hand side of the bodice. Okay, so get your interfacing on, and then we'll do the stay stitching. So we're just going to stay stitch the neckline, because I'm just going to be working with the front pieces. We're just going to pick those up. So I've just got the V-neck here and on that piece there. So stay stitching is done to prevent extra stretching in the fabric, to stabilise it, and I've got a different machine today. I'll make sure I get this all right. There we go. I think we call this, I forgot, I think we call this the Big Betty, this machine. It's kind of like half industrial, half a domestic sewing machine, and it's what we use in stitch school. You'll see it from that, but also sometimes what we use to make up samples, because it is a really good machine. It's the Memory Craft 6600 by Janome. Okay, so I'm just keeping this to within a centimetre, the stay stitching, because the neckline seam allowance is a centimetre. So I've got that one, and then this one. Okay. So when we bind the neckline, we want to make sure that this stay stitching is not going to be peeking through when it's all finished. So it's important that we keep it within that centimetre seam allowance. Okay. Let me just trim off my tails. It's all nice and tidy. I've got such a big space here, it feels very strange. And I don't have a cat that's about to come and interrupt me. Or a dog. Actually no, Poppy is here with me here in the office. And she may well bark. She barks when the office, if someone's got a delivery for us, they ring the doorbell down at the bottom. We're on the 6th floor here, but it rings up to here to say there's a delivery. And Poppy goes mental. She's currently sitting on a little bed over on the other side of the room, so. Okay, so trimmed off there. So I think the next thing that I did that I found easy, and you'll see that I have actually pressed these in just so it makes it easier for when I'm going to be showing you guys. I've already pressed in my folds for this front piece. But what I did that was really useful was I labelled the lines. So on the pattern, I've obviously cut off one line there or here. I'll just glue that back on. I'll sellotape that back on. I'll just sellotape. I've got some sellotape, have I? Oh no. I did have some down there, but it's been moved. Oh, this is great. I can have things brought to me. Thank you. I'm just going to quickly sellotape it. It's not obviously going to be right because I've not got any really fabric behind, paper behind it, but just so I can hold it up to you guys and give you an idea. I'm making the top version as well. I should have said that at the beginning. Okay, so here are all those lines on the pattern piece. Now, you will have, we're going to be working with the right hand side of the bodice with all the extra pieces first. So let's start with that. Now you'll see where all the lines are. At the bottom there are notches on the, if you're making the skirt version, less so on the cropped top version. You don't really have the notches there on the lines because because those lines continue down. But where there is a line, you need to mark a notch on your fabric. So if you're making the crop version like me, you will need to still do that. So where there's a line, put a little snip in, and then you'll also put them in at the top end as well. And then what I did is I numbered those notches with the lines, because we've got fold line 1, 2 and 3, and they're not in a consecutive order. So fold line 1 is here, fold line 2 is over here, and fold line 3 is in the middle between the two of them, and it's just to do with the order that we fold them. So if you label them now on your fabric, it makes it so much easier if you've got those numbers, because as you're working it out, as you're reading the instructions, you can go, oh yeah, there's fold line 1, right, I'm doing that one. Oh, that's 2 over there, right, I'm doing that one. So just label those notches with a fabric marker, and then you know what you're doing. Okay, so I'm gonna attempt to get this really heavy machine. I've got loads of space on the table, but I haven't got that much space here. I'm gonna get this machine down on the floor. It's too heavy for me to do it sat down. And then I get the ironing board up. Yeah. There we go. And there's Mr. Iron. His leads coming from there. Okay. Right. And you can see quite clearly there, so that's good. So I've got the instructions here, and I'm just going to read them as I fold them, so that you guys, I think, because it can get very confusing. We do get quite a few questions about this, and so I'm going to take it nice and slow. Okay, so the first step, and just so you know, we are now at point number 9. So it does say lay your pieces out wrong sides up. So when you're laying your pieces out, just make sure that the centre fronts of your left and right bodice are facing each other, because then you'll get it the right way round. So that means your side seams are on the outside and you're laying your front pieces wrong sides up like this. And then, if you're doing that, you then take the one on the right hand side, which will be your right hand bodice anyway. So you can put the one on the left, your left hand bodice to one side. So you take your right hand one, and we are going to start by folding it into along the first line. Okay, so we are going to, with the keeping it wrong side up, we're going to fold on that first line where fold line number 1 is, fold that over, and it will look like it's all right, all correct, because it will fold into this neat point here. Okay.